Welcome to the 10th annual Halloween special. That's right, a decade of doing this. I started this segment with my wife. This year I'm in post-production on a film and I'm a father now. And we're still talking about horror movies in October because it's the best fucking time of year. It's my favorite time of year and I love doing this segment so much. The entire month of October is going to be filled with so much scary awesomeness. I can't wait to share it with you. But since this is the 10th annual Halloween special, a very important event, I figured it's finally time to talk about the 10th film in the Friday the 13th franchise, the notorious, infamous Jason X. Let's get the obvious out of the way really fast. Jason X, not a very good movie. I know, it's a bit of a hot take, but somebody had to say it. But that's never stopped me from finding a perverse enjoyment in this movie. It's not just the fact that it's a movie where Jason is in space, which of course is what everyone always says. I'm more fascinated by the fact that the film even exists, and that New Line Cinema tried to make a movie in between Jason Goes to Hell and Freddy V's. Jason, the ending of Jason Goes to Hell, promising that Freddy would be involved in some way in the next one, and when Freddy V's. Jason took forever to come out, they made Jason X almost like a holdover. Like, hey, I know you're waiting for Freddy V's. Jason, so let's just give you Jason in space, and that'll satiate you. Well, I mean, sure. It did something. Still to this day, I don't know if the film existing is a good thing, but at the very least, David Cronenberg cameos in this movie and is killed by Jason, so that's pretty unique. Jason Voorhees is cryogenically frozen at the beginning of the 21st century and is discovered in the 25th century and taken to space. He gets thawed and begins stalking and killing the crew of the spaceship that's transporting him. So seriously, for a moment, there's actually a very, very fun and well-regarded movie in that pitch. This movie is not well-regarded. This movie did not get good reviews, and I think most people in the fan base don't exactly love it. It certainly has its following. People enjoy ripping it. It's a great movie for friends. It's just a perfect movie to watch with people who don't care or even have on in the background at a party. Tonight, I watched it in my backyard with my wife on a projector with the crickets and the moon out. It was a very fun movie to watch in that way. But there is a version of this movie where Jason is essentially the xenomorph from Alien. There's even a character in the movie named Dallas, and that character is portrayed by the writer of the film. And so obviously they were trying to use Alien and Aliens as comps to make this movie. The movie did not turn out that way. But there is a version of Jason X where it's actually kind of scary and good. But that's not the movie we got, and the sets look like they could double for a pretty legit laser tag tournament. So I'm like a massive fan of R.L. Stein's Goosebumps. Those were the books that made me want to start writing in 3rd grade. I started drawing my own covers for Goosebumps and writing my own books. They were very short, but I won some awards in elementary school, and as a little kid that felt really special to me, and it made me want to write. So I'm also a fan of the Goosebumps TV show as a result. And I say all this because there are 2 actors from that show in this movie, because this movie, similar to the Goosebumps show, was shot in Canada. I happen to really like the Goosebumps show, and I kind of know way too much about it. The actor Dove Tischenbach, who plays the character Azrael in this movie, plays the main protagonist of the episode Bad Hair Day, as well as some random kid from the 2-parter episode, The Ghost Next Door. And Melody Johnson, who plays Kinza in Jason X, was also the protagonist in Be Careful What You Wish For. If you guys happen to have a show you're a massive fan of, and occasionally you watch movies or other TV shows, and somebody from that show pops up in random roles, and you always recognize them and go, holy shit. That's whoever from my favorite show. That's me with the Goosebumps show. It happens all the time, and it immediately informs me that whatever the movie is was more than likely shot in Canada. When it comes to the Friday the 13th films, I might have a somewhat unpopular opinion. I don't necessarily think there's a single great one in the entire franchise. Even the first film is not for me. It's not like Halloween or Nightmare on Elm Street, where the first one is like, yeah, that deserves a sequel. That was fucking great. The Friday the 13th movies got made because they were cheap. They made their money back, and because it was in the middle of the slasher boom of the 80s, and eventually people had an affinity for Jason and liked to see him kill people. The Jason movies that I like the most are the ones that don't take themselves seriously. My favorite has always been Jason Lives, where he's a superpowered zombie. Jason X is not a close second or anything, but this film also has a similar vibe to it where it's like, yeah, it's Jason in space. He's gonna kill some folks, but I do have to say, rewatching it tonight, I think there is a slight sensibility to it where you can kind of tell that the filmmakers might have been trying a little bit, maybe a little bit too much than they should have. There's some scenes that attempt some drama, and you're like, no, don't do that. Where this movie absolutely excels is scenes like this. An android fighting Jason, kicking him, shooting him, blowing him up. All of that stuff is great. That's exactly what this movie needs. I also really like when they put Power Ranger Jason inside virtual reality Camp Crystal Lake in 1980. Those are really good ideas, and they should have explored that more. As far as these franchises go for me, they really just come down to the deaths eventually. And this one does have a few really good ones. For instance, this corkscrew death where the body is just spinning around. That's actually really funny. When the woman's head is frozen and then shattered, that's not too bad either. When you watch a movie like this, it's like, well, okay, like that could have been better. That could have been better. I'm not gonna sit here and fucking nitpick. But like, if I really wanted to pinpoint an actual problem with the movie that does frustrate me for real, it's that they cut away from a lot of the kills. Especially the professor. That is a death we all should have seen. When I was rewatching this tonight with Sam, we were looking forward, because I forgot. We were looking forward to seeing the professor killed, and they just cut away from it. And I'm like, come on, man, what are you doing? You're trying to go for a lighter rating or something? Like, show the professor get fucking killed. He's an asshole. He's having sex with his students to make them pass. So fucking stupid. They needed to show that. Don't cut away from deaths in a Friday the 13th dumb movie. I think that's a rule that should be made on any going forward. In fact, strangely, for a franchise that has exceeded 10 entries, I think we haven't even gotten the definitive Friday the 13th B movie yet. I think there's a great movie in there somewhere in this franchise. I know there's a lot of rights issues between various owners, but I do think unlike the Halloween, unlike the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, there is actually still room for a great Jason movie that we haven't gotten yet, even though they've exceeded 10 entries. Whenever Jason X goes there, like Jason jumping through space, or his burning body through the atmosphere becoming a shooting star that two lovers can see in the sky, that's where this movie is exactly what it should have been. There's not enough of it in the movie, and in many ways it's a terrible film, but you can watch this movie with your friends, or even by yourself and a bunch of vodka and have fun. Like I said, the Jason movies that I end up rewatching the most are the ones that put the camp in Camp Crystal Lake, and this is certainly one of them. Guys, I am so looking forward to talking about more films with you this October in the 10th annual Halloween special. Thank you guys as always for watching. Look forward to more videos very soon, and if you like this, you can click right here and get stuckmanized.